Why do we need a new Wellington School?
The top priority is the Wellington School for a whole lot of reasons, including the fact that it is really at the end of its life.
One way or the other, Wellington is going to need to be rebuilt. We can either build now and take advantage of state funds, or have the town shoulder the entire burden. The Wellington School is a hodgepodge of several different buildings. The original section facing School Street was built as a high school in 1917. The gym and cafeteria were added in 1939, and the Orchard Street classroom wing was built in 1963. When the high school burned a few years later, what remained was converted into the Wellington Elementary School. But now the building is on its last legs.
And a lot of serious money is going to have to be spent on this school in the very near future if we don't begin this rebuilding project. Among those things are the heating system, the electrical system, the security system, the PA system.
Wellington parent Heidi Sawyer recently toured the woefully outdated and inefficient boiler room. The heating system is hobbled together from two old steam and hot water systems.
This piece goes back to 1947. This is flushing the system that has to be done on a daily basis. Outside it's about 25 degrees. We're bringing outside air into the boiler room as it is steaming hot in here.
Upstairs in the classrooms, the temperatures generated from this antiquated heating system are unpredictable at best.
In the morning, we don't know what to wear because sometimes it's really hot and then sometimes it's really cold.
I would typically dress as if I was going off to ski rather than to teach. I would get in the room and I could actually see my breath. It was so cold. I did jumping jacks with my students because by the time the heat rose to the top floor, it was about 11 o'clock.
I don't want to break it.
The classrooms can also get extremely hot, so in the middle of winter, they need to open the windows to release some of the heat.
Because they're so like rusty and like sticky and stuff. So if they open, then you can't shut them. You have to wear your winter jacket, your gloves and everything because you're so cold, and it's sometimes hard to write with your winter gloves on.
And at times, the system breaks down altogether.
Well, last year I sat here and this heater, all this part was broken off, and like every couple minutes water would come gushing out and there would be huge puddles everywhere. When the heater broke, all the desks near it were kind of black because all the dirt that was in the heater, and then when it got out, the dirt was on the desk. When the heater breaks down, it smells bad.
And it's not just the heat. The electrical system is also lacking. Many classrooms have only one electrical outlet, hardly enough to power state-of-the-art teaching technology.
We're lacking many, many of the electrical amenities that just a basic classroom would have. And there's a danger in that. In addition to overloading the circuits, you really don't want wires in a classroom where children can trip over them, especially if there were a fire drill or some sort of emergency where we had to evacuate the classroom very quickly.
And the light is like, there's like these sparks coming out of it. It's just banging against the screen of the light and going zzz. And everyone like starts to freak out. And one of my classmates, they like start running out the door.
Couldn't the old Wellington building be renovated?
9 years ago, the town studied the feasibility of renovating versus new construction and determined it was much more cost-effective to build a new building. And the State Building Authority reached the same conclusion last year.
After they looked at this building carefully about a year and a half ago, they immediately agreed with us that the wisest thing to do for Belmont and for the state money too was to go ahead and replace the school rather than try to renovate it.
And that, by the way, is an important thing to underline, that the state has really taken a good hard look at this and determined that the most cost-effective thing is to rebuild here. The State School Building Authority is all about ordering people to do renovation rather than reconstruction if renovation is a feasible option. And what they found is that renovation really doesn't make sense here. And that's an outside assessment. They're all about pinching pennies.
It is very comparable dollars. The two things are very comparable. But all things given, we can put things where we want them to be if we, start from scratch.
Just to keep the current building functioning is throwing money down the drain. Belmont taxpayers are forking over 45% more money to maintain the current Wellington than they do for the Winbrook.
Times are tough. Why do we need to rebuild Wellington now?
First, the state has put the Wellington on the top of its list of building priorities and agreed to pay 30 to 40% of the cost. There's no guarantee those funds will be available in the future. Taxpayers of Belmont could absorb the entire cost of rebuilding if we don't take advantage of state funds now.
If we don't move forward and redo the building, which is, everybody agrees, the most cost-effective approach, then we're going to end up spending money on the old building, which just isn't a smart thing to do.
In addition, it is much cheaper to build a new Wellington now than it will be a few years from now when the economy rebounds.
In any project that is going out to bid within the next several months, maybe to a year, is going to benefit from a very competitive bidding climate. Probably 2 years from now, when there's a lot more jobs being created, the market for bidding will be far less competitive. So we would really love to be able to bid this project next fall, late fall.
I don't have children going to Wellington, so why should I support this?
It's important to remember that this is not just a Wellington project. It will help the entire town. The cost of utilities for Wellington are 56% higher than for the similarly sized Winbrook School. A newer, more environmentally friendly building will save the town money in heating and electricity costs.
I strongly feel that if Belmont is going to maintain a competitive edge, both in terms of real estate values, in providing an adequate education for all our children, we need good facilities. And the only one that really is lacking is the Wellington School.
In addition to enhancing property values, a new Wellington will serve the town for decades to come. Every elementary school in Belmont is at or close to capacity, and class sizes are growing. Former member of the school committee, Scott Stratford, says a new Wellington will absorb the increase in the school-age population that could rise even more if developments at the Uplands, Our Former Lady of Mercy, and McLean bring even more young families to town.
Wellington represents our last best chance to do a long-term, structured, thoughtful approach to what our enrollment and needs are going to be at the elementary level for the next 50 years. Doing additions or changes to the other schools down the road as population dynamics change or as new development comes into Belmont is going to be far more expensive and far less well thought out than the opportunity that we have right now with a new Wellington.
Where do we go from here?
The time is now to do the right thing and rebuild Wellington. The bottom line is this: do you want to spend millions of dollars on inefficient Band-Aids and still not have the school Belmont needs? Or pass the debt exclusion this spring to get this, a school the town desperately needs that will serve Belmont for generations to come. To get more information, go to www.togetherforwellington.org. We need your support to make this happen.